an old empty bottle. It's staring back.
Well, hi there, welcome back. Okay, today the big day cometh, a momentous day for me. I'm really looking forward to this. Today I get to bolt the brand new shiny discs onto the wheels, static balance them and then bolt them into the bike. And I've seriously been looking forward to that ever since this project began. Now these discs, I bought them some 2 years ago, right back at the beginning of the build. I used the money from the sale of the big Tiger, if you remember. I think when you're buying a project or getting into a project, I always believe it's best investing in all the parts you might need right at the beginning, because at this stage, 2 years on, I wouldn't be able to afford these discs now. So thankfully I thought ahead enough, I've got them and I'm really excited to bolt them on. Fantastic brand new EBC discs, very exciting, and once they're all on I can bolt them in the bike, and that will make the bike look heaps and bounds further forward than it currently is. It is looking fantastic, everything's looking nice, and I just want to do, after this is bolted in, there's a few little peripheral bits. Foot peg hangers all reassembled, I've got to assemble those and bolt them on. Then it's brake calipers, that's going to be a little bit more. I'm going to pull the brake calipers apart, I'm going to clean them out, put new pads in, new bolts, new body bolts, and then assemble everything properly and carefully along with the same standard of meticulousness as I've done everything else. So hopefully you'll enjoy this. This is discs, balancing and bolting. Let's shut up and get stuck in. Welcome back. Okay, just a quick word on these bolts. Now these disc bolts, they are a specialised shape. They're a shouldered bolt because they take the shear force that way on. They don't stretch in terms of thread because they're only torqued into 23 Newton meters. It isn't much, but the principle is they do take a lot of force that way on. Now if you, several people have asked, do I have to replace them? Are they single use? Do I chuck them away? I would say if they're the original bolts from the bike, and like this is 20 years old, then yes, of course, replace them with new ones. It's a no-brainer, really, isn't it? But obviously, if it's only a 12-month-old bike and you're upgrading your discs to something a bit fancy like Galfa wavy discs or these EBCs or whatever, then I would say perhaps you might consider just cleaning them up and putting them back in if they're the original factory ones and they're only a year or so old. That's your choice. Even then, me personally, I would replace them because then I know they're replaced and I know they're replaced with the right ones. These are Pro Bolt versions. They are absolutely the best quality that you can get aftermarket. Only better than that would possibly be to go to the dealer and get the original factory ones. And even then, are they any better? Who knows? But the fact is, new ones are better than old ones in my book, so I'm going to replace them. Now when I'm torquing a disc down, I always do a second pass with the torque wrench, purely because you're pressing it down. As you torque it down, it gets taken down in a star shape, as you should always do. Always use the opposing fastener at all possible. And as it gets taken down, the first one you do can become loose when you do the last one. That makes sense? So as you torque them all down, then the first one you do, as the disc will then be pressed right down into its seat, the first one might need a check. And as you saw, I got a little bit more on each one with a second pass. That's the safest way to do it, to make sure they're all torqued down to the correct torque, which in this case is 23 Newton meters. Check whatever yours is in a manual. Invest in one. It's the best thing you'll ever buy. Almost forgot to mention, if you're going to fit new discs, that means these threads need to be clean. So the old thread lock, which should be in there, you should always put thread lock on them, obviously, that needs to be cleaned out. All that old thread lock is a barrier to the new bolts going in, If you're going to use the old bolts, then run a die down them to make sure you clean all that off, because those bolts and those threads need to be crystal clear and absolutely perfectly clean with new fresh thread lock on when they go in. Never go thinking that old thread lock will work a second time. It doesn't work that way. Once thread lock has cured and set and done its job, if you then break it by taking the bolt out, it's not thread lock afterwards, it's just scuzzy stuff in the way and you need to get rid of it. So just run a tap down the threads, run a die down the bolts if you're going to reuse them. What I also do is have a dry run. Run all the bolts in dry, just gently by hand, and make sure they all glide in with no resistance whatsoever. Not a single hindrance, nothing. All go in nicely with just fingers all the way to the seat. Because once you put the Loctite or thread lock on there, then taking them out and trying to clean something out, it becomes a bit of a mess. So now I know they all go in, they all glide in perfectly, and then when I put them in with the thread lock, it will go in one time, done, click. Just a kind of practice run really. Now I can take them all out, put the thread lock on them, torque them in. Right, here we are. Ain't that a thing of beauty? Right. Okay, and amongst everything else, I've neglected to order sprocket nuts. That's the nuts that bolt the rear sprocket on. They're a locking nut and they're a certain thickness. I just forgot to order them. I've got 3 perfectly good non-locking nuts, so for now I'm just going to put 3 on there to hold the sprocket in place. Then at least I can put the cush drives in, put the carrier onto the wheel, and then mount the wheel into the bike, and I can simply take those 3 off and put the proper sprocket nuts on and torque them up later when I come to do the chain of sprockets. It means at least I can finish the job today, even though I neglected to order those particular parts, which is just the way it goes sometimes. So much to remember when you're building a bike, so much stuff to get done, and that'll be okay. The reason I'm only putting 3 on and leaving 3 not connected is it will absolutely remind me to do it and to make sure I put the correct nuts on and torque them up. If you put all 6 on, you'll probably forget that and possibly ride up the road without doing it properly. So that's why I've left 3 bolts missing. So let's get the wheels balanced, and then we can put this in there into the rear wheel, and then we'll mount them in the bike. Right, let's just find its own level. Let it settle to its heaviest point will be at the bottom, and basically you put the weights at the top. Here we go. Here we are, confirmed. Right, bit of brake cleaner. Done. There we go. Such a little amount. It's about 5 grams. That's not even out by that much, I reckon. 5-10 grams will do that. Right. Okay, last check. There we are, it's as easy as that. Put it on a bar between two axle stands. Wherever it settles, the heaviest point is at the bottom, put the weights at the other side. These weights, you can buy them in different colours. Black's easy enough to get. There you go. And they come on a sticky strip, 5 and 10 gram slabs. So you can make up whatever you like. These particular ones I got from the guy that I bought the tyres from. He just gave them to me. I said, well, I'm going to balance them. Can I have a few weights to go? And he said, yeah, no problem. If you want to do this kind of thing yourself, it's quite therapeutic, it's quite rewarding. You can take your time and get it absolutely perfect. And if you're not sure, then like I did, use a bit of masking tape, just tape them on until you're absolutely sure you're in the right place, and then stick them on permanently. A little bit of brake cleaner underneath them, stays there. That's it. Both wheels balanced. Perfect. Right, let's put them in the bike. Well, there we are. She's a roller at long last. She's on her wheels. I really was looking forward to that, and it's been a very, very rewarding day. Absolutely chuffed to bits with that. It's always good bolting big pieces in. A little bit nerve-wracking, sliding painted surfaces in beside each other, but it's all good. No chips, no scratches, got away with it. Everything is immaculate, and that's very special. I expected a couple of little chips and scratches, got away with it, thank goodness. So that's all done. Now the next thing will be chain and sprockets, or brakes, or both. You know, that's it. I've got chain and sprockets to do, all the brakes to do, and the footrests to reassemble and put back on before I can really roll this off the bench. There's no point in rolling it off for a look when it's not ready, so don't know what order I'll do those in, but there's 3 major jobs, 3 videos to come with those things getting bolted back together, and hopefully little bits and pieces in amongst them that you can learn from as well. Also, everything I've done will be rechecked and retorqued where it's necessary. Things like all the pinch bolts here and here, all the wheel axle bolts, they'll all be retorqued and checked at the end, normally after a little test ride to make sure everything's settled down. That's what you do when you've had a bike in a million bits, and that's probably the safest, best way to go. So that's it really, nothing else to say. It's only chat otherwise. I enjoyed that, I hope you did. Thank you for watching, take it easy, ride safe, and I'll see you for the next one.
Used to be such good old friends till that day back in '63. Met my friend when I was young. Lost to know my daddy's name.